Hey everyone, this is David Brown with the migration update for May 12th, 2025 from the Derby Hill Hawkwatch. It was a beautiful morning with clear skies, though it was a bit chilly with temperatures down around 40 degrees, although throughout the morning it warmed and eventually reached up into the 70s. The winds started out of the southeast and were moderate and then shifted around and weakened to the southwest, and then eventually around noon a lake breeze kicked in, so we moved down to the south lookout after that. Kim is back in town, so her and I got out first thing in the morning to do some songbirding. Here we have a large flycatcher perched up in a tree. We see a gray head with a large bill and yellow underside to the body. This is a great crested flycatcher. Here we have a warbler that is a nice mix of colors, sort of a grayish head with white eye arcs. We have a yellow throat and upper breast with some orange highlights. This is a northern parula. And I like the way it balanced on a branch to reach over and feed from a flower. Here we have a very plain looking warbler with a thin bill. This is the season's first Tennessee warbler. Here's a flyby of a bird that's red with black wings. This is a male scarlet tanager. Here we have a bird that's slightly larger than the warblers, and if we look at the bill, it's not a thin warbler bill, but it's a little bit thicker. This is a vireo. Overall, it's pretty plain, although we do see a bit of a darker cap and a darker line through the eye. This is a red-eyed vireo. There were some raptors moving early. Here we have a small hawk. We see the rounded wingtips, and we see a long tail on this bird and a small head. This is a sharp-shinned hawk. Here we have a warbler flying over. We see a black cap, a white cheek, and then some black streaking down the sides and some white wing bars and a yellowish bill. This is a male blackpoll warbler. Here we have a shorebird, and on this one we see trailing legs, so it's not a solitary sandpiper like we're seeing frequently this time of year. And we see a medium-length bill. This is the season's first lesser yellow legs. Here we have a small compact buteo with pointed wingtips, and on this bird we see a dark trailing edge to the wings, brown barring to the underside, and a black tail with a white band. This is an adult broad-winged hawk. And taking a look at this juvenile broad-winged hawk, we see it's the same shape as the adult, but a bit paler overall with some vertical brown streaking to the breast. And most of the juveniles we're seeing are all molting the same inner primary feather, so it's common to see the light shining through the gaps in the wings. We had a nice flight of bald eagles today with over 50 total. Here we have a nice look at a juvenile. And here we have an osprey that was staring us down as it flew over. Here we have a hawk shaped like a flying cross. We see a long tail, and we can see that the outer tail feathers, which tuck underneath, are a bit shorter than the central tail feathers. So if it fanned the tail out, it would be more of a rounded tip. We can see that it's got a relatively large head sticking out past the wings, which are held out mostly straight. And if we look at the streaking on the underside of the body, it's a teardrop streaking that's more concentrated on the upper breast. This is a juvenile Cooper's hawk. Here's a group of 4 large tan birds with long trailing legs and long necks held out straight. These are sandhill cranes. The most impressive species of the day was probably blue jay. Here we have just a small part of a group, and Kim was on blue jay counting duty today, and throughout the day she counted more than 11,500 migrating blue jays. And if we hadn't had to move to the south lookout for the afternoon, I'm sure we would have had several thousand more. And then even into the evening, we were still seeing small groups of blue jays migrating by. So really cool to see the blue jay migration along the south shore of Lake Ontario. From the north lookout, we had 96 species. A northerly lake breeze kicked in, so we moved down to the south lookout around 12:30 and stayed there for the rest of the count. And it remained sunny overhead, but there was a layer of clouds moving in from the west, and the wind stayed out of the north, although they died off in the final hours. We picked up a bit of a flight from the south lookout, although most migrants were farther inland, and it was mostly turkey vultures and broad-winged hawks, such as this adult. We had a flock of 7 very small shorebirds flying around, and these kinds of small shorebirds are known as peeps, and these are likely least sandpipers. From the south lookout, we had 50 species. When we got back up to the north lookout at the end of the day, there was a bit of a feeding frenzy going on out on the lake with a lot of gulls and terns and cormorants, and we scanned through them and were able to pick out the continuing immature glaucus gull. From the North Lookout in the evening, we had 38 species. It was a really beautiful evening, so I decided to edit my photos outside so I could continue birding while I got my evening work done. And then at dusk, me and Kim went back out and met another local birder who was outside, and we had some green herons fly over, which were new for the day, and then we had a common nighthawk, bringing us to a total of 109 species for the day. So a really huge day of birding for us today. In total for the day, we had 109 species today, including 14 species of warblers. I had 6 new species for the season today, which were lesser yellowlegs, eastern wood pewee, red-breasted nuthatch, Tennessee warbler, bay-breasted warbler, and least sandpiper, bringing us to a total of 189 species for the season, although the nocturnal flight call microphone also picked up some migrating brant last night, which would also be new, but I slept through it, so I'm not going to count it for my list, but hopefully we'll get some more brant soon. Taking a look at the hawk count report for our migrating raptor totals. Today we had 540 turkey vultures, 5 ospreys, 52 bald eagles, 18 northern harriers. We had 31 sharp-shinned hawks and 4 Cooper's hawks. For Buteos, we had 347 broad-winged hawks and 17 red-tailed hawks, and we had 1 merlin for a total of 1,015 migrating raptors. That brings the May total to 5,657 and the season total to 83,915. Taking a look at the forecast for tomorrow, they're calling for cloudy skies with the high in the mid to upper 70s and southeast winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So that's a really good wind for us. It's our best wind direction and it's a pretty good speed, and it should be enough to hold off the lake breeze, hopefully. So we should be able to spend all day at the North Lookout, fingers crossed, and it should be another really good night for migration. So it could be a good morning to be out exploring for warblers and other songbirds, and then we should end up with a decent raptor flight as well. So it'd be a good day to be at Derby Hill tomorrow. For Wednesday, they're calling for overcast skies, a high around 70, and winds southeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour. So again, a really good wind direction and speed. I would expect another good flight for Wednesday. And for Thursday, they're saying cloudy with a high around 73 and winds southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. So a good direction, but a little bit on the light side. So I'd expect moderate migration. All right, what a terrific day of birding. It was a really long day, but it was the best day in terms of the total number of bird species that we've seen this season. This is the peak migration time, and we have a lot of good southerly winds coming up. So the rest of this week is really looking pretty good. So I hope we'll see you soon out at Derby Hill. From Lyco Birds, this is David Brown. Thanks for watching.